friends, Kim from Stamping Imperfection. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I am playing with a sketch today. I am on the Atlantic Hearts Sketch Challenge design team, and every week we come out with a new sketch, and they're always great sketches, so I'm excited about them every time I have one to do. And we're really good about leaving comments, so we would love to have you join us and participate in the sketch. And you can check it out at the Atlantic Hearts Sketch Challenge.blogspot.com. I will put the link below to make sure I got that correct. But this is this week's sketch, and you have a week to create something and link it to the link on the blog, and then we select 3 winners, which is always really fun. The cards are always really beautiful, and everybody's card is so different. It's just so much fun to see what other people create with a sketch that you created something with. So I really like doing sketch challenges. So this is this week's sketch, and you can see it's got lots of layers and lots of greenery and a circle and this panel here, which will make I immediately think that will be a pretty patterned piece. It's got a nice sentiment layer. I love the sketch, but when I first looked at it, I wasn't sure, because all these layers, you know, I needed to play with them. So I pulled out my layering guide, and I've pulled some pieces out of this already because I've been playing with them. But my layering guide is a set of old cardstock scraps that I cut into layers, and they increase by 1/8 inch in width and height all the way up. Now I have a video and I have a printable that you can get for free on my blog at stampingimperfection.com. So you can actually check that out, print out that printable, and make one of these for yourselves. And I really find this useful because what I did was I started out with my 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch layer. And when I looked at this, I realized there's not a very big border there. So let's see what it looks like if I go down by 1/8 inch. So the next layer is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So I get a little peak of color around the outside of that. And then from the white to this yellow, it's again not a very big border. So I went down again by 1/8. So I pulled out the layer that was 4 by 5 1/4. And then there's what looks like maybe you know, like a good size border there. So I decided to go down by 1/2. And this is what I came up with. This is 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. And then I was trying to figure out how big to make this. And in my layering guide, these rectangles are all really related to this first one. Like, I haven't made any unusual sizes. So I started pulling out some of these smaller layers to see how wide I wanted it. And then when I pulled this out, I realized I like the 1 1/2 inch width. So I created another, and I decided it's time to make some of these little rectangular pieces, because I use a lot of pattern paper, and I like to play around. Sometimes I'll use a 2 1/2 inch width. Sometimes I'll use a 3 3/4 inch width. And I change the lengths all the time. So I'm going to be working on figuring out which heights and widths I really like the most. And I'm going to make some panels here, and I'll share that when I get that done. But here's what I came up with. So I really like this. I think it's a pretty good facsimile of what this card looks like. So I went ahead and cut my papers. And I'm pretty excited about it because I'm going to put this aside, but you can see there's a lot on this sketch. Like, this is not a clean and simple card sketch. A lot of times they are fairly clean and simple without tons of layers, but this one was really intricate. So I pulled out my tools, and I knew I wanted to use this for that piece of pattern paper because I'm going to use pattern paper where this pink rectangle is, and everything else I think I'm going to either stamp on or leave as plain cardstock, because you don't see too much of a lot of those layers anyway. So I pulled out, this is the Woven Textures Designer Series paper that was released at the beginning of March. And here are some of the patterns in it. I love this paper. Like, this calls to me. I am definitely a wicker, texture person. I have this stuff all over my house. I had way more of it in the 80s. I have less of it now, but I still have some. So I love this. So I decided that I would use that. So I pulled out that. Then I also pulled out, because I needed the floral bits and the leafy bits, I pulled out the Memorable Blooms. I love the sentiments in this, and I've used this a couple times for other cards already, but the die set in this has this piece, and I really like this piece, so I wanted to die cut some of those. Then I pulled out Thoughtful Wishes because I really liked this piece, but the dies in this set, and there are a lot of dies in this set, so they didn't all fit in here, so I have those in a separate envelope. But you can see I really love this one, and then I decided I really like this one too, and it has a coordinating stamp. So I definitely wanted to use that. And then I pulled out my elements of text, because I feel like the natural elements in this really call for this stamp set. I love this stamp set. I've used it so much. So those are the stamp sets and the die sets that I'm going to be using. Then I struggled a little bit to figure out what colors do I want to make this card. So another tool that I have that I love, and this is my box of color tools. I have ink swatches from all the different ink pad colors of Stampin' Up, and then I've got color swatches for my Stampin' Write markers, my blends, my watercolor pencils. Like, they're all in here. I've swatched them all so I can pull these out and look at the colors and decide from there. But I also have my color coach, and I love the color coach. One of the colors that I knew immediately that I wanted to add was, I want to add Pecan Pie and Wild Wheat. I love those two colors, and I love them together. So I pulled out the Wild Wheat card, and I see Early Espresso, so I love that. And I also see Moody Mauve and Misty Moonlight and Cajun Craze Azure. I kind of wasn't in the mood to use any of those. And in all honesty, I have this ribbon. This is the, I can never remember the name of this color. Petal Pink. It's called Petal Pink. And it looks very peach to me. Like, I would have named this peach. But it's Petal Pink. And I know close to my heart had a color they called pink, and it was some kind of pink. It might have even been Petal Pink. And it was also peach. So I pulled out the Petal Pink card, which I've now mixed in here. And, oh, here we go. I think I put them all at the bottom. Nope, that's Lemon Lime Twist. I pulled out a few cards because I knew I wanted to use Pecan Pie, and let's see if I can find it. Oh, there it is. Is that Petal Pink? Yeah, here's Petal Pink. Petal Pink had Peach Pie, which I considered momentarily. Granny Apple Green, I considered that too. Pretty Peacock, I liked that. And I kept pulling out cards and trying to find colors. And I settled on several different things. So I settled on, let's see, in the back of the cards, these Color Coach cards, here, let me show you this. Here's how they work. This is the Pecan Pie. I say pecan. You can say pecan or pecan, whatever you want to say. I say pecan. That's how everybody around where I grew up pronounces it. And this card is just printed on regular copy paper, but I cut them down. They're 3x4 cards, and I put it on a 3x4 piece of Pecan Pie. So I've got all the colors here too. So I can play with colors this way too. So I decided I wanted to play with, let's see if I can find it. Here's wild wheat. Here's pecan pie. So now you start to turn them around and look at the colors of the papers you want to play with when you're not finding any color combinations. Because these are suggestions of color combinations. They're not saying these are the only things these colors go with. They're just suggestions. Here's the petal pink. And here's Granny Apple Green, which I love. I love Granny Apple Green. Here's Basic Beige. That was another thing I was considering. I was also considering Shy Shamrock, and then Mossy Meadow, and I have Crumb Cake and Early Espresso, and another color that kept coming up was Night of Navy. So then you start pulling out all the cards, and I realized I like these two together. I liked this with it. Still not sure how I feel about that color, but I went ahead and decided I'll cut some things out. I do have the beige also. Didn't love it. Crumb Cake was okay. And Night of Navy I actually liked okay also. But I decided that, oh, and Early Espresso was the other one that I decided I actually really liked that one. So it was kind of fun to use the colors of cardstock to pick things as well and do my own color combination. So this is what I decided for the papers and stuff. And then I decided I would cut one of the little floral bits out with this, and we'll go from there. So let me show you what I cut up and what I came up with. So it was really nice to have those tools to actually work with. So to get started, I did all my die cutting, I did all my cutting of the papers and everything. Here's the 1.5 by, what did I say, 1.5 by 4.25 inch piece of pattern paper, the designer series paper. And these are all the bits I die cut out, and I realized after I die cut these out that they needed to be stamped, so I actually stamped them afterwards. And then here's the petal pink, and I did 2 of each. I don't know whether I'll use them all. I have not actually laid this card out yet beyond putting the layers together. So I have the piece of Early Espresso, which is cut at, nope, that's not 4.25, that's my card base. This is cut at 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. My piece of pecan pie is 4 by 5 1/4, and then I tried white at 3.5 by 4 3/4, but I pulled out the Very Vanilla, and I like that much better. So I also have a 4 1/4 by 11 inch card base, which I scored and folded at 5 1/2, which is my original piece here. So I've got all my pieces cut and ready to go. So I can put a couple of these together to get started. And I also have a piece of Very Vanilla for the sentiment. That's what that other piece is there for. So I'm going to glue these 2 pieces together. And then I'm going to put those on the card base. There we go, just like that. And then I can put this aside. So this is a lot of layers. Alright, so I pulled out all of the brown ink colors that I have, and actually I'm going to go with Crumb Cake. So I pulled out this big round because, let me pull that sketch back out. On this, there is a round element, and I could have die cut out another piece of paper. I considered doing either Crumb Cake or Basic Beige, but I realized I have this round stamp, which will actually make a very nice bottom layer, and I want to make sure I get this up in the right direction. The words, some of the words are actually visible on this, so you want to actually make sure you get it right side up. So let me make sure, there we go. And I'm going to stamp this as much in the middle as I can get it. And I'm just going to give it a good press and give it a few seconds for the ink to soak in. Love this stamp set. Love, love, love it. I'm going to take one of the splatter stamps there, and I'm going to add some splatters. In a couple of spots, just like that. And then I am going to bring this in and just place it down. I think I want some splatters on the back side of this also. Let's just put some splatters over here. Let me try popping this up on dimensionals. I hope I don't hate it. And I'm going to put the dimensionals down the back side and leave the front open so I can actually put the plants, the greenery in there. So now I can put this down, and I really want this to be spaced fairly evenly on there. There we go. So I left this open so I can slide things in. So I want the wild wheat ones. Ooh, these might be too big. Nope, they're actually kind of perfect. I'm going to slide those in like that. Ooh, I might not need the green. And these feel huge. I'm just going to break that down and add a little bit of the green. There we go. There we go. Now I have my sentiment that I have to make. I picked You've Been on My Mind, which I really like, and I'm going to pull out the Early Espresso ink because that layer is way in the back on my card, and I do love a nice bold sentiment. So I'm going to stamp that just like that. And this is going to go to the end of that panel, just like that. And I'm going to trim this off. And I like the little pennant they added. Okay, so I'm just going to see how I did there. Alright, so now I'm just going to get as close to the middle as I can, and then just go from the corner to the top of that little slice I just made, just like that. So I'm ready to put some finishing touches on this card. I've got all my floral bits adhered down. I did let some overhang the edge. I actually really like it. It's super busy, but I think I'm doing okay so far. You'll have to let me know what you think in the comments. So I brought out the crumb cake again, and I pulled out, I have these little coin pockets that I use for my foam pieces, and I just want to add a little bit of the crumb cake to the edge of the sentiment so it pops a little bit more and it just stands out a little bit more. And I'm going to add a little bit of this to the edge of this piece as well. So I'm just gently rubbing it along the edge. You can add as much of that detail as you want. And I have had to learn to hold this piece gently because I have always had a tendency to actually hold it a little too tight, and then my paper will end up with a dent in it wherever I was holding it. And I'm going to add some dimensionals on the back of this piece. And I want to add some twine and some ribbon. Lately I've really been enjoying adding both twine and ribbon to my projects. And so I'm going to put a glue dot down there, and I'm going to start with the twine. And I think I want to use this natural twine. I was thinking I might use the vanilla, but I feel like there's a lot of vanilla on the card as it is. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of twist these around on top a little bit. Put a bunch of twine here. I just want it peeking out from underneath my sentiment there. And I will just cut that off like that. And then I'm going to add another glue dot. I'm using glue dots on the back here. Oops, now it's sticking to my fingernail. And I'm going to add a little bit of this petal pink ribbon. And I'll do something similar here. And I'll just add a glue dot with every layer. There we go, and I'm just going to trim this off. Okay, and there we go. I'll add this to the front just like that, and now I can add this to my card base, and then I can add a few embellishments. Okay, I love this so far. Please make sure you leave me a comment and let me know what you think of this layout. And I think I want to go with these darker dots. I feel like it needs a little bit of darker something on here. And I'll put a smaller one. Right there. There. So that's going to complete my card. So let me pull in the sketch that I was using, and we'll see how I did. Alright, so there's my card. Isn't that pretty? And I will add a little something on the inside of my card, and I do have very vanilla envelopes in my stash, so I will definitely go ahead and add a little something to that. But that is going to complete my card, and you can see I've got all the things. You can hardly tell that's a circle, but I do love that detail. It makes it feel, I don't know, I just like the feel of that look. And I am going to trim this off a little bit. I want it hanging off my card. There we go. And I'm pretty happy with that. Not a super colorful card, but I did get my little pop of peach in there, or petal pink, and I'm happy that I did that. I'm happy that I added that. And I do like the wild wheat and the mossy meadow with all of the browns, so I'm pretty happy with that too. And I feel like this pop of color is pretty subtle. It's not slapping you in the face. So I like that. That completes my card. I would love it if you give this video a thumbs up, and if you're looking for Stampin' Up! Supplies and you aren't working with another demonstrator, I would love to be your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. You can shop with me at at shopwithkim.net. And if you aren't subscribed, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell so you get notifications every time I upload a new video. So friends, we would love to have you join us at the Atlantic Heart Sketch Challenge. You will find that link below, and you can find it on my blog at stampingimperfection.com. Have a creative day. Thanks for watching.